Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa WorldRemit. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh, ha? Ay, lagot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from WorldRemit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Hi, we're Fourth Impact, and hello to all the viewers of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan.
Thank you for always supporting Fourth Impact, and please, you can download our new song, No More.
And all digital platforms.
Yes.
And you can follow us on all our social media accounts. Just type Fourth Impact, and everything is verified. So, thank you. God bless everyone. Keep safe.
Hi guys, I'm really excited to be back for another series of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. You know, this is the fourth series that we've made, and it's thanks to you guys for watching, for taking part, and of course, a special thanks to all of my sponsors for joining me on this journey. This is an episode that I've been meaning to make for a long time because we're going to cover banking, finance, property. You know, as you guys know, I'm a massive fan of the Philippines, a massive supporter of the Philippines. But it does worry me that life is really hard right now, particularly during the pandemic. And realistically, we need to think about the future. And this is why I'm doing this episode today. Before we introduce our guests, I'd like to say a massive thank you to WorldRemit. Thank you for continuing to support us in this journey. Just to let everybody know, if you're sending money back home to the Philippines, WorldRemit have a promo called 3 Free, as in the number 3, and as in the number 3, and then the word free, F-R-E. And that means you can send money home free of charge to the Philippines for your first 3 transactions. So without much further ado, I'd like to introduce you to today's guests. I'm really excited to be introducing them. First, I'd like to introduce you to Ronald Sipat. Ronald's been in the banking industry now for many years, including being very senior within Philippine National Bank in other parts of the world, and is very experienced, and is also one of our community leaders. So hi, Ronald.
Hi, Malcolm, and good afternoon, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all your viewers of Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. It's a very honor and opportunity to be with you today, Malcolm.
I'd like to say thank you as well. Thank you for spending the time. I'd also like to introduce my next guest, KS from Megaworld. And, you know, I'm really excited to introduce her. Hi, how you doing? You know, because we are thanks to you guys, thanks to Megaworld, I was able to visit the Philippines in December 2017, and this was one of my most amazing trips back home because I was able to visit places that I'd never visited before. I went to Boracay, you know, I went to different resorts, and I'm incredibly grateful. And had it not been for that trip, you know, my life would have been entirely different now. And you know, I'm really grateful. So I'd just like to thank you. We had this bonding as well where we all got together. We ate some amazing foods. And of course, we toured around. So it gives me such a pleasure to really introduce you as well.
Thank you so much. Oh, you know, since I am working for sales, so we always say good morning, even though it's afternoon or evening, it's always good morning for us. And I'm very thankful that I got invited to showcase the property investments when it comes to the Philippines.
That's amazing. Thank you. We also going to have some general questions, you know, because a lot of times people say, shall I retire in the Philippines? It's the most common question from a lot of my British friends. And can I go back home to the Philippines? You know, what's it like with banking and everything else? So I do have a number of questions prepared. And if it's all right, I'd start with Ronald just for these questions that I have, and maybe you can interject, KS, if you wanted to. But firstly, let's talk a little bit about more yourself, Ronald. Tell me a little bit about your background.
Who, me or Ronald?
Ronald.
Okay.
Well, Malcolm, I started probably the most of my professional life is with a bank. I started in 1981 with Philippine National Bank during the time when until my retirement in 2009. Okay. Now, luckily, I'm still with the bank right now with Banco de Oro, WorldRemit UK, as the managing director at the moment. So expanding the business for Video Universal Inc. Well, as a profession, I am a CPA lawyer in the Philippines, and but again, since most of my professional life is with the bank, I've been into banking for almost 29 years, and still continuing with the bank at the moment. Yeah.
That's fantastic. And I guess you've been involved with the Filipino community for so long as well. So you've seen so many things happen in the UK. You've seen so many people come here from the Philippines. You've also seen people, maybe they've got British nationality and then they've gone back to retire in the Philippines. Let's just have a quick question for you. What would you say to any foreigner or Brit thinking about retiring in the Philippines? Maybe what are the advantages and disadvantages?
Well, right now, everybody knows that the cost of living in the Philippines is a little bit low, compared to other ASEAN countries, for that matter. And it has always been the major consideration. And of course, if you are a foreigner right now but used to be a Filipino, it's always a welcome opportunity to go back, and retire in the Philippines. Well, the one of the items as well that has been is the climate. No, you see, Philippines is a tropical country, and you have a long summer, and it's always two season, dry and wet season in the Philippines. So for those who are seeking more of the sun, Philippines is always one of the best destinations.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and of course, it's less stressful, isn't it? Life can be pretty stressful here in the UK. Maybe for those who've retired, maybe, they've still got to worry about where they're going to live, the cost of rental if they're renting, and so many things to worry about. And then there's lots of maybe news that they get concerned over. But I guess I've always said to people, there are advantages in that you can pretty much just relax and you can have your pension still paid to your account and have a relaxed life, if you like. So the question I wanted to ask you was really about the banking system in general. How safe is your money in the Philippines, and is it protected?
well, as you know, we have a very good banking system in the Philippines. Even in actually Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, so the Central Bank of the Philippines, has been nominated always one of the best central bank, not only in Asia but in the whole world. So banking in the Philippines is always very safe and your money is secured, especially, I'm not bragging, but being in one of actually the top banking institution right now in the Philippines, Banco de Oro, BDO, Unibank Inc., and all the rest of probably the next 20 or 30 years, your money is secured, no? So don't worry about it. And Bangko Sentral is always, on their back as far as your money is concerned.
So the next advice that I would have is, if I was a foreigner and I was thinking about retiring in the Philippines, or maybe I'm an ex-Filipino and I've lived in the UK, got my British nationality. If I'm thinking about living in the Philippines, I'm a little bit confused about where to place my money, because you would obviously have a bank account here. Now, obviously, you'd get your pension and your money could be sent to anywhere in the world. I appreciate that. But I do hear nightmare stories about Brits who've left the UK, they've gone to live in the Philippines, and for some reason their bank account has been frozen in the UK and they can't access their money or their pension. What is the best advice in your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, I think those are circumstances where that change from the time that they leave UK and left for the Philippines. I think the best thing that they can do right now is not to, is to maintain their address here in the UK. Banking in the UK is changing right now, especially with the Brexit. No, you have heard stories that banks in the UK are closing or sending letters to Brits who are living elsewhere in Europe. No, that their account will be closed because after December 31, 2020, there's gonna be a major change because of the Brexit. No, so the passporting rules of banking in UK and banking in EU will definitely change unless there will be, a significant agreement between these EU nations and UK. But so as far as right now, what they are saying and what we are recommending is that try to maintain your address in the UK, so that your account will not be closed, because I think that is one of the main requirements right now of UK banks. No, once you keep your address in the UK, I don't think they will close it. And again, as far as remitting pensions in your credit, is that you can have there are few banking institution here in the UK, whether a full bank or a remittance company, which you can do standing order with your UK bank, local banks, for your pensions in the Philippines. It's very easy. All you have to do is to nominate to your UK bank that every month I need a standing order to be sent to this account of a Philippine bank or a Philippine remittance company, and your remittance will go without any problem at all. No,
That's very helpful.
A lot of clients who are in the same situation at the moment.
That's really helpful. I'd like to leave it there at the moment. I'll definitely come back to you, but I have so many questions and we're getting a lot of interaction from members of the public as well, from our dear Filipino friends, and I'm quite excited. So now over to you, KS. I've got so many questions for you. It's really funny, but so many people are talking about investing in the Philippines. But I just wanted to start by knowing a little bit about you and your background. Whereabouts are you from in the Philippines? Tell me a little bit about you.
I'm 28 years old. I just turned 28 this year. Technically, I think I'm the youngest when it comes to the core group members of Mega World International. So I started working with Mega World around 2012. I was hired first as a sales service assistant. So my main job before I took on the role of country manager was to do site trippings for the clients coming from Europe, because my team has always been Europe ever since. So all the clients or all the Filipinos or even the foreigners that comes home to the Philippines because they bought a property or they're planning to buy a property with Mega World, it's my job to tour them around to different sites and stuff. So I think around 2016 when I decided to try a different career path, but then when my boss offered me to work with her again as a country manager. And of course, I never lose a chance to take on an opportunity for self-growth and, to learn new things. So I did take on the country manager position, and now I'm here in UK as a senior country manager. Yeah, there you go.
Congratulations, and you're doing incredibly well. I'm really inspired. You are still relatively young, if you like, and yet you're so mature, and you have so much experience and a fantastic attitude. I do have so many questions for you, but if it's okay with you, what I'd like to do at the moment is just to honor our sponsors who have been absolutely amazing. I'd just like to take a quick break, and then when we return, I'll have my long list of questions. Thanks so much, guys. So we'll be right back.
Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa WorldRemit. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ha? Ay, lagot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from WorldRemit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Hi, my name's Jane Walker. I'm the founder and the CEO of the Purple Community Fund. We work with some of the poorest children and families in the Philippines. We run an integrated service plan from education, health, nutrition, social intervention, livelihood workshops, right the way through to business startups. And our goal is really to see as many Filipino families as we possibly can help to have a better and more sustainable and safe life. I have this great pleasure of welcoming you to Pusong Pinoy with Malcolm Conlan. And I've known Malcolm for a very long time, and he has been a massive supporter of the Purple Community Fund. In fact, Malcolm's been a massive supporter of pretty much everything Filipino. His drive, his passion and his energy is just absolutely admirable. He is a voice for the Filipino community in Britain. He supports all up-and-coming bands and charities that are doing work in the Philippines, and I know you are going to really enjoy this show.
And we're back. Thank you so much. Thanks so much to WorldRemit. And KS, it's over to you. I have my questions for you.
Sure. Fire away.
Thank you. The first question I have is, in your advice, your opinion, your belief, why should people actually invest in property in the Philippines? What are the advantages, and what's your opinion on this?
Investing in the Philippines or investing in a property investment just, can give you unlimited options. For example, right now, if you invest in bonds or stocks or private offerings, so your income definitely, it's out of your control. You can either hold your stocks or your bonds, or you can sell them. Whereas with real estate, you can buy a property with an intent of flipping it or reselling it or having it rented out. Still, you get a passive income from that. Also, not only the income from the rentals or the flippings or the resellings, there's also an income for you when it comes to capital appreciation. So I think, or I believe, and it's a fact, by the way, that real estate or investing in a property is not only pandemic proof, it's sustainable, and it's a resilient type of investment. So you don't have anything to lose. And I told you earlier backstage that I feel like my goal is to take out the cloud that when people talk about real estate, they feel like buying a real estate investment or buying a property would cost them a lot of money. It's not true. You just have to know where to look, what type of company you're buying the properties from, and what type of agent you should talk to. Because we, as a real estate agents or real estate property agents, we are here to solve your problems, or we're basically like matchmaker. So we would look for the right property that would fit your budget, your needs, everything. So of course we wanted to give you an investment that wouldn't, give you headache, or it's a worry-free investment. So that's basically my goal.
I think it's about due diligence, isn't it? And I know for a fact, I've heard so many nightmare stories in the past about maybe other property corporations. Maybe there are issues about selling to somebody who's 70 and could never afford a loan, or basically they would take your money for a couple of years and you would lose everything and not get it back. But from what I can see, and this is only my personal opinion, I said this earlier, I was very grateful to MegaWorld because I got the opportunity to tour some of your projects. And it's like MegaWorld are actually creating towns. You are creating townships. It's not just about buying and selling. It's about creating parks, environment, shopping malls, nice open spaces, cafes, whatever it may be. And I know even the runway, which is the walkway from Terminal 3 over to the hotel
Resorts World.
is a
So the
project
Newport
of you
City.
guys as well. And, you know, that's the thing, you know, it's about investing in the Philippines. And through your investment into the Philippines, I have no doubt that more foreign companies, people will come to the country because you're helping with the infrastructure. So for that alone, I support what you're doing for the country.
Of course, because one of the company's vision is not only to help uplift lives, but we also wanted to help build the nation. And in that particular part, we continuously, or Mega World continuously, change the landscape of Philippine real estate. So we have pioneered with township development projects where we build a city within the city. One of the examples are the one that you mentioned across Terminal 3. It's called Newport City. So it's basically 25 hectares, around 25 hectares. So that area has residential spaces, it has a mall inside, it has office buildings as well. So everything is in unison. I think right now the best type of investment, or for me, the best type of investment would be buying a property inside a township development. Because not only it's safer, because, you know, of course, the pandemic, it's really difficult if you live in a standalone condominium where you have to travel to buy groceries, or you have to travel outside to get whatever your necessities are. But if you live in a township, everything is just walk away. So you are safe. There's 24-hour security. The water and the electricity is also 24 hours. So the mall is just right there. If you needed something to buy in the pharmacy, there's pharmacy just few minutes walk from your doorstep. So I think you know, it's always better to know where to invest, and I think we are that kind of person. We will help everyone through the process.
See, I'm thinking about people who may be retired and, you know, they don't want to be traveling for ages. They don't want
Exactly.
some standalone development in the middle of nowhere where they've got to go through 2 hours of traffic just to reach the hospital. Because I know you're also involved with sort of clinics, you know, you have facilities. You're not miles away from the nearest hospital, for example. Do any of your properties actually have, say, not a hospital, but in terms of somebody who maybe has a medical condition, they don't want to be miles away from the nearest hospital? What could you say about that?
I think we have several projects that has nearest, like couple of minutes away, the hospitals around the area. So like, for example, our project in Fort Bonifacio, it's called Uptown Bonifacio. It's close proximity to St. Luke's. Also, there are some clinics in the mall area or nearby the surroundings, like Eastwood City as well. It's also near some of the major hospitals in the metro. I think majority of our projects now are either close to, our township projects are close to having a hospital nearby, because of course we take pride into building a community, whereas, you know, people don't have to travel or to bus the traffic in the metro. If it's emergency, you can just, you know, walk or take a 5-10 minutes cab, you know, to the hospital for checkup or anything.
That's amazing. Thank you so much. I am going to come back to you, but I want to go ahead and bring Ronald back into the conversation as well.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, you know, if people are thinking about retiring back home, you know, so many people want an additional income. Now, I don't know what your personal opinion is on this, but, you know, how do you make money in the Philippines when you've decided to leave the UK, when you've decided to retire? Are there options for you? Maybe could you set up a small business? Because, of course, I know with all the property corporations, you then need to pay a yearly fee for maintenance of the property, etc. What's your advice on this? Can you give any advice to people?
Well, Malcolm, like for example, like KS said, no, if you are able to go to the property ladder, you know, and been able to choose right properties, that these are passive income, no, and you can easily rent out. And if you want to go into business as well, no, there are a lot of domestic franchises already, which allow you, no, not to start from the very beginning, but to jump on the business itself again, no. These are very good right now, especially on the food business, no.
Exactly.
So there are there are several local franchising companies that can give you, with the right investment, with the right mindset, you can engage in the business immediately as possible, depending on your budget and depending on what you want to do. Because even if you retire, you want to, expand, explore some horizons with you by staying in the Philippines, enjoying your retirement, and at the same time, making some passive, if not, a very active income on that one. There are so many good, but always have to take into consideration is your goal setting. You have to set your goals. What do I really want?
Yes.
What is my passion of doing this one? Because remember, this is your second life. If you go in and engage your business, you need to do something that you like. You need to do something that you have knowledge of doing it.
Stress.
It's very difficult and too risky for a retiree to venture into something new and something difficult.
Or
So,
something they are not familiar with.
yeah, get help from
Completely
those
right.
people who are in the business already, like for example the franchising. I've seen a lot of people who return with their hard-earned money and investment, and then they just silly pop up and then come back to where they used to work again and then work again. So I mean, goal setting, find the right business opportunity for you. And this is one of the advantages of having investment in the Philippines. The labor is cheap. We are talking about 537 pesos. It's basically about 8 to 9 pounds per day. You can employ someone in your business. The environment, the business environment and climate is very good, especially if you really do want to do something more than just being a retiree there in the Philippines.
That's very, very helpful to hear that, because I think a lot of people have these concerns. And KS, just another question for you. I hear people talking about the cost of a price of coffee, but let's be realistic about it. If you go to somewhere like Starbucks, you're already paying £3, 250, 300 pesos just for a single cup of coffee. And I know so many OFWs work incredibly hard, not only in the Middle East, but in China, in Saudi and Abu Dhabi, and they're sending money home all of their lives. They work 20, 30 years abroad as an OFW. And when they go back home to the Philippines, they're very tired already, or very sadly, some of them actually pass away before they actually get the chance to go back home. What would you advise people to do? Because if they're sending money each month to their families, of course we expect that. And I would hope that as well. I want OFWs to be sending money back home to their families. That's part and parcel of being an OFW. Maybe not in the future, but at the moment. But what would you say people should be doing? Should they be sending £400 a month to their family, or should they be looking at their family's budget and maybe investing in property? What can you say about that?
My personal experience, like what you said, there are a lot of Filipinos who work 30 years, 40 years, come home to the Philippines. They don't have a house to live in. They don't have like a proper place to stay for their retirement. And it feels really, really sad for me. So my personal goal is always to educate my clients or the people that I meet, especially the Filipinos who works abroad, that, you have to leave a little amount for yourself. You have to put in as an investment. And the best investment for me is always real estate. Not because I work for a real estate company, but because I feel like buying properties, you can never lose your money from that. There's a lot of ways to earn from that. If you invest in a property, you don't have to shell out huge amount of money. So like what you said earlier, maybe they can check or they can look into the budget of their family back home and leave a little amount for their investment for properties. Because like for us, for Mega World, we do have properties that would only cost them £150 per month for an amortization.
A few cups of coffee, or maybe a trip to the cinema,
exactly.
or something like that. It's not a lot of money.
Or cut out going out for dinner or meeting up with your friends on Starbucks and stuff. And then you can save a lot of money Plus, you get to buy a property back home. And it's only £150 per month. You don't have to shell out huge amount of money for that.
Can I just make a disclaimer here, if that's all right, that I'm not being paid at all by Mega World. I'm not an agent of Mega World. I'm not trying to sell a Mega World property or anything like that. But I just want to make that public declaration. The reason why I've invited you on the show is because you are an absolute expert about property and helping OFWs to help their lives. In my heart, I want OFWs to save up for the future and for their future to be better. And that's my reason, of course, for inviting you on the show. But we've also met, you know, I'm very grateful. But this show is about helping OFWs. And I think that's our goal. What I'd like to do now is take a quick break. We've got a lot of comments, a lot of questions. So we'll go ahead and we'll be right back.
Uy, kuya, nakalimutan mong birthday ni mama ngayon, no?
Walang problema. Magpapadala na lang ako sa WorldRemit. 1, 2, 3. Oh, ha? Ay, lagot. Si mama tumatawag. Happy birthday, ma!
Salamat anak, natanggap ko na ang padala mong pera from WorldRemit. Akala ko nakalimutan mo na eh.
Siyempre, ma. Ako pa.
Hi, guys. I'm so grateful for all of your comments. I'm so grateful to my guests as well for joining me this week. We have so many questions and comments. If I can invite you both back, and then we can go ahead and try and answer them. We'll try and flash some of them on the screen. That's the plan. But I also have questions through Messenger.
Oh, I've seen some of the comments from the watch party that you've hosted.
Yes, and I've also got some other comments as well. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to try flash some of them on the screen. Desi V said, thank you for this topic. I'm very interested and I'm planning to retire in 15 years. Now, KS, where can people reach you in terms of social media? If you don't get the chance to ask questions now, can people contact you? Can people contact you by Messenger? Please let me know.
I think it would be easier to use my Messenger since most of the time now I spend it answering questions or doing presentations via Zoom, Messenger. Of course, they can always drop a personal message on my Facebook account. That would be my full name. It's Karina Salve Untalan.
Thank you so much. Let's go back to our messages. Sorry. I just want to make that clear so that people are right. Heliza, hello to all watching from the United Kingdom. Hello, Mam Desi V. So this is the other. Yeah. And Babeth Aquino.
There's a lot of thumbs up.
Rosanna, stay safe. Thank you so much. Salamat. Okay, so now I'm looking at the watch party because I put up a watch party earlier on, and these are where we have a number of questions. In fact, we have 37 comments.
Yes,
so I'm just going to go ahead, and people have said it's the right time to invest in property. My whole life I've worked as an OFW. I send money and save for my family and me. This is from Daisy. It's hard for me to read all the comments right now because of the way that my FB is set up.
Let me go to.
If you want to maybe look at yours, and I know that Ethel as well. As hi Ethel, how you doing? It's amazing to know you, and I know you're watching as well. But if you go ahead and read some of your comments.
Yeah, there are some comments here, like from Desi Isguera. She said that some properties can't deliver. How can you guarantee the buyers? Like what Malcolm said earlier. Well, I cannot speak on behalf of other developers. I can only speak on behalf of the company that I represent. So I think if you're planning on investing into real estate or planning on to buying a property in the Philippines, you have to do a due diligence, as what Malcolm said. You have to check what kind of company you're buying the property in, because at the end of the day, it's your hard-earned money. So you have to check if that company is the right company for you to buy a property. Will they deliver? Have you seen how many projects were turned over? You have to do that kind of checking to secure your money, because at the end of the day, you don't want to lose your hard-earned money, right?
Completely right. You know, a lot of people, they maybe their circumstances change. This is my last question that I have. Say, for example, if you've decided to buy a Mega World property and you're in an agreement, you're making your payments, all of a sudden your life changes and you lose your job. Do you lose your money, or can you do anything else?
By law, there will be, you are technically covered by law in the Philippines. It's called Maceda law. So when you do installment payments for 48 months, you get a refund from the company, although it won't be a full refund, because of course the company have paid the taxes as well, the documentation processes and stuff. So there are a lot of expense as well from the company. So you won't be refunded the full amount that you paid. Or you can opt to sell your units as a resale. So you can reach out to to the person who sold you the property, or you can do, like, if you have friends who wanted to buy your property, you can do that. You can flip your unit, or you can resell it if you can no longer afford to pay for it. So that should be fine.
And I know some of the properties, I remember when I first started hearing about these properties in the UK, they all started off being really, really cost effective, and some would say relatively cheap. But whenever you build a development, the price tends to skyrocket. So it's a massive investment as well.
That's what we call capital appreciation. So there are two types of investment depending on what is it that you need. Because I saw in one of the comments from your watch party, someone was asking which one would I recommend, I think, if it's a condominium or a house and lot. We always ask our clients, what is it that you need for an investment? Or what type of property would you like to have? If it's a house and lot, would you be living in it? Or would your family be living in it? Because if your purpose for buying a house and lot is that maybe after 15 years when you go home, you can live there, then it's sort of like a sleeping asset. You don't get a passive income from it. It's, not a lot of people rent houses now. It's better if you invest in condominiums in a prime location, and then you get a passive income from it. You get a rental out of the property. Then you can use that for your retirement money or retirement allowances. But also for the new, for those people who are unaware of what or how real estate works, so you can either opt to choose to buy an off-plan project. So we call that in the Philippines pre-selling, meaning the property just launched. So the prices are relatively low. The payment terms are very, very lenient. Like I said earlier, we even have properties that would cost only 9,500 pesos per month, or that's around 150 pounds, sorry. Or if you wanted to have the unit rented out right away, you can choose a ready for occupancy unit or rent to own flats. I just wanted to share, a couple of weeks ago, there was a promo from Mega World for our Eastwood project. I don't know, Malcolm, if you have visited Eastwood.
I think I might have done, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Ronald are very familiar with our project in Libis, Quezon City. It's called Eastwood City. So a couple of weeks ago, Mega World have this promo where you're only asked to pay 5% of the total contract price. But that 5%, you don't have to pay that right away. It was spread in 6 months. So you can pay the 5% discount for 6 months' time. And then at the end of the 6th month, the unit can be turned over to you. You can either live there or have it rented out. So the rest of the 5 years mortgage or the 5 years amortization, you don't have to shell out the money for that because the rental payment is the one who pays for the mortgage.
Wow.
So, there's a different types of investments that we have. We actually have 7, but I might take up a lot of time if I discuss all of them.
That's very helpful. And back over to you, Ronald. I just got a message from Daisy M. Esquera, and she said, "Glad to see my godfather, Ronald."
Yeah, I know.
Sorry.
Hi,
Yeah.
Daisy. Malcolm, can I just add on the on the question about the change of circumstances? No, one of the main reasons why some people are not able to recover some paid even despite the Maseda law, no, is because of the lack of communication. No, I've been able to give some advices to some clients who had similar situation in the past, and we were able to make a good compromise agreement with a developer. No, when there is a change of circumstances in a buyer, you should inform immediately the developer that
Exactly.
this is my circumstances right now. Can we reschedule or restructure our payment terms? And
Yeah.
they would be helpful to do that. And that's the reason why you are not able to recover, or some buyers are not able to recover by because they simply stop paying
Exactly.
without communicating
Yeah.
to the
I have
developer. And
experienced that actually.
85% of those who are not able to recover is simply lack of communication. They did not communicate to the developer and did not even request any restructuring of the payment terms. The developer would be very happy if they know the circumstances.
I think all the developers are quite reasonable when it comes to restructuring payment terms.
Exactly.
Even now, during this pandemic, I have received a lot of emails from my clients that, I won't be able to pay because I'm furloughed or I don't have a job. I'm on lockdown and sort of like that. So we helped them. We emailed MegaWorld and they were happy to restructure or hold the payments for them with no penalties. So, I agree with Ronald. You just have to contact the developer. If your agent is no longer working for that company, I believe that there are certain people assigned to hold the accounts for you guys, or there are certain people assigned to manage all those accounts for you. So you just have to know the customer care contact details of that developer so you can ask for help.
That's true.
That's very helpful. And Ronald, just touching on the Filipino community in the UK, maybe yourself, how's it been for you during lockdown? And I know we're all on Zoom meetings and everything else, but it's kind of pretty hard right now, isn't it? What advice would you give on how people can maybe keep fit, keep active? Because it's a really, really hard time.
Yeah, Pinoy in the UK is very resilient, and very, they really follow the lockdown rules. They stayed at home, and for those people like us, we still go to work. No, we were locked down from March 23 until June 7, and June 8 we returned to work. No,
Oh.
all this period, they find ways. There are very enterprising Filipinos. They cook foods and then have it as a business. Some are on charity work. They provide some foods and some help to those who are in needs. Well, in the organizations that I am part with, Caviteños UK and European Network of Filipino Diaspora, the NPID, we were able to do some activities, not necessarily expose ourselves, but in some other ways to help other vulnerable Filipino in the UK. So we keep it busy, like if you want to communicate with your kaibigan, friends, you have the Zoom meeting, you have the messenger meeting. From time to time we do online communications with them.
That's really interesting to hear. KS, tell me about MegaWorld. I know MegaWorld has a really big corporate social responsibility, and I know they're really working hard with that. What have you heard MegaWorld's been doing in the Philippines to help people during this pandemic?
If I'm not mistaken, we kept on donating with all the branches of Alliance Global, which is our mother company. So we have been continuously donating to the Philippines. Also here in UK, we contacted a hospital or a Filipino community. So we did uh, give out free lunches. In some other parts of the world that has Mega World offices, we did that as well. So we do have charity events for them. Like in Israel, we did donate grocery packets for families that are affected. So of course, we know our social responsibilities. Of course, if we have been there before pandemic or pre-pandemic, for sure that right now we are still continuously or diligently helping the communities, whether it's in the Philippines or wherever the world. As long as there's Mega World presence in there, we do our best to help the community, or especially the Filipino communities.
That's really inspiring to hear, you know, because I do see stories on Facebook about what MegaWorld's actually doing for the community, and you hear about the buses, you know, you hear about transport in the Philippines, and it's nice. And that's about being responsible, isn't it? You probably, my point is, there's so many people out there who tell you to invest in their business or maybe buy this or buy that. And it's really, I get messages every day, and it's really just a sales pitch.
Exactly.
But I believe you guys are more than that. You create these community events, you created this online concert, and I think that's about being responsible, but also engaging with your clients. And then your clients are going to keep on coming back to you, aren't they? And I'm sure you would say the same thing as well, Ronald.
Yes, of course, you get in touch with them, what are the best alternative at the moment, and that's make you dear to their hearts. No, you're just not disappear from this one because of the pandemic. You know, you continue to communicate with them and provide them with the different alternatives at the given time. No, in fact, to us, we have not stopped in our remittance business. No, you can do it online. No, so it was a tremendous increase in volume. If people cannot come to us in person, we have the 24 hours facility for them to serve their
Yeah, of course.
yeah.
And of course, I think that's the thing, isn't it? As you guys know, and I'd like to thank my partners again, WorldRemit. You know, if people want to send money back home to the Philippines, they can do so very simply. They can do so online, so they don't necessarily need to go to an office. And I think that's also one of the advantages of everything nowadays, that everything's so online. The same thing with Mega World, you know.
Digital, even with us, if I might say, before when I think Malcolm, you have attended several of our events. We used to do face-to-face events, but now we have to adapt to the new reality. So we converted all our forms into digital forms. We do a lot of Zoom meetings, a lot of Zoom trainings as well for the networks and to anyone who wanted to, watch, because we have wellness, we have for mental health training, we even have calligraphy trainings.
Yeah.
Wow, that's incredible.
You wanted to help them, be at peace, even though despite this pandemic. So not only that we do selling activities, I think you've seen a couple of months ago we did an online concert. It's just a tribute to all our clients and networks that, when you see us on live or on Facebook, it's not all about Mega World. We can give back, just to give you fun time, a little joy, a little smile. That would be very, very great.
Any closing words from you, Ronald? Thank you so much for your time and for really taking the time to give us advice, particularly about banking and everything else, because I know a lot of people are worried. What would you say? What about you personally? Well, when you finally do sort of retire, are you going to stay in the UK? Are you going to go back home to the Philippines? What advice could you give?
Well, just for your information, tomorrow I'll be getting my dual citizenship again, no, after 12 years. No? So, my initial intention was to stay in the UK because my family in here, my children in here. So probably I will be just taking good care of the apos or the grandchildren later on. But with my reacquisition of my Philippine citizenship from tomorrow, they're gonna be change of plans. So it will be UK and the Philippines as well. Because we have some properties over there too. Well, as a parting words, it has always been a tricky part and a challenge between an OFWs, sending money back home to their family. I always said to people, take care of yourself too. Reserve some funds, have a savings account in the Philippines so that you can set up funds every month. What is £3? £3 in a 30 days could be equivalent to £100. Save £100, open a Philippine savings account, save in your account rather than remitting to the Philippines. And then, in 1 year's time, you may probably have 100,000 pesos in your account, and you can invest it in a lot more. No, when you go back, you can use it, or you can even roll. Could you imagine if you take £3 a day, put it and set aside, and later on a month time, £100, put it in your
The
savings
price
account.
of a cup of Starbucks that's about 250 pesos in the Philippines at the moment. I was in a mall in Manila going back a few years ago, and I brought an orange juice, and I think it was 350 pesos for a glass of fresh orange juice. And the
Wow.
guy in the mall said to me, "What you're drinking in that is my daily salary."
And if you are an OFW, you cannot drink that. Because
Yeah,
you will be thinking about 350 pesos. But for your beneficiaries, they don't have to double think. They will just grab it because they have the money.
yeah,
That's why
yeah.
I'm
We don't
always
know how
saying,
hard is it for you to earn those 350 pesos just to
Mm.
throw it away for a cup of
exactly.
Starbucks coffee or
And this is what
orange
happens,
juice.
and that's what's so sad. The companies rely on the OFW dollar. The reason why the Philippines was virtually unaffected during the 2012 financial situation was, of course, because of OFWs just
OFW,
catching up,
yeah.
sending more money, more remittances.
It's
And I think all of us
$2.8 billion
saying is invest
a
a little bit
year,
as well.
Malcolm. We are talking about almost 8% of the Philippine GDP.
Mm.
2.8 billion a year.
Yeah,
So that makes the economy in the Philippines, moving. And that's the reason why. And, the PTOFWs, I always say that PTOFWs, when she come back, so he comes back to the Philippines, doesn't have money.
yeah,
And I'm saying, please, what is £3? What is £5 a day? Set it aside for yourself. And that will go a long way. When I was not able to mention some retirement funds in the Philippines, no? Even OFWs can set up their own Philippine retirement fund. We have that what called BSP sponsored PERA, no? Personal Equity Retirement Account. You can open that one. And, that is an addition to your SSS or GSIS contribution, no? So when you retire, you have some money for yourself, no?
That's so important. People neglect that. OFWs are working 20-hour days, and sadly, in the Middle East, a lot of them are being treated like slaves. And yet, what have they got to show for it? A few cups of coffee, a few memories that are quickly forgotten. And that's why I guess it's so important to save up, to invest. I'd like to thank you both. It's been a really incredible episode. Out of all of my episodes, this has been the most, I think, useful and relevant for the community. Any parting words from you as well, KS?
I just wanted to say that, it's always nice to invest now. I'm not hard selling right now. I'm just saying that the best time to invest is right now because it's still pandemic and a lot of our projects are still on promotions. So the payment terms are much more leaner than before. No, it's much more lenient now than it used to be before. So we have different options for you guys. Like what Ronald said, you have to take care of yourself. You have to prepare yourself for your retirement. So I think one of the best thing that you can do is invest in a real estate, have it rented out, and then when you go home to the Philippines for retirement, you can either use that property as your retirement place, or you can just have it as your investment, and it gives you passive income, so you don't have to worry about monthly expenses that you have since you're retired. So you just sit there, wait for the income monthly, and just relax, enjoy your remaining days stress free or worry free. So you have to think about your future. you don't think about the present, you have to think about your future, because that's what's important. Oh, sorry, I have to say hi to my parents and my family. They're watching now. My mom even commented on the watch party you're hosting. She said that's my daughter. Hi, Nan.
No, I saw
How
that.
are
Hi,
you?
John. Thank you so much. You know, I'm really grateful to the time that you've both spent. I know it's kind of really hard during the pandemic for all of us. You know, I've been told that I should have a job recently, which I'm very pleased about. But times have been really hard, and I think quite depressing. And I think these kind of things I think are useful because they help people. And again, I'd like to thank to WorldRemit, because you know I can't afford to do this project alone. I'm not technically minded. I don't have the technical expertise, and with their support as well, we've got this back on the road. And I know you guys will join us again in future episodes. So I'd just like to say thank you so much, Ronald. I'm really grateful to have you. Particularly with us. You know, I know you have a massive experience of the community, of the banking world. You know, just very quickly, tell us about your time at PNB. You got to like managing director or something, right?
Yeah. Well, you know, I used to be managing director of Philippine National Bank here in the UK, and also in Italy. I used to manage the Italian operations, and my first assignment really was in Japan, no, when I opened a branch there in the UK. But now I've said I'm with the biggest bank of the Philippines right now, and fortunately that BDO Unibanking. And we don't only, do remittance, but we find ways to build the future of every Filipino OFWs. And in the UK, it's our desire here to be the central hub of Filipino community in the UK. And
I appreciate that.
We are always there. We find ways for you guys.
I really appreciate that. Thank you so much to both of you. Maraming
Thank you.
salamat po. Thank you. Do you want to greet your friends, family again before we end this episode?
Hi to my Mega World family. I know they're watching. I've seen a lot of shares from the group chats. Hi, guys. Thank you for the support. And Malcolm, thank you so much for the opportunity. When you pitched this series to me, or this episode of your vlog to me via Messenger, I thought to myself, oh, I would want to use Malcolm. I would want to use his platform, because I know that a lot of Filipinos are a big fan of yours, and I wanted to reach out to them or educate them about the real estate investments, because of course, like I said earlier, we have to prepare for our future. Even myself, I am preparing for my future as early as now, because I don't want to work hard, when I'm on my latter years. So I wanted to relax and just enjoy the fruit of my labors.
You have a lot longer to go than I do, to be honest. Here you are boasting about how young you are and how old I am.
Happy because, I was exposed, or I got exposed to property or real estate industry at a young age. If I hadn't, I wouldn't be able to, invest in different kinds of properties. I wouldn't say what types of properties I have invested in, but majority of my salary goes to my investments.
That's good.
Nice.
A little goes to my shopping expense. Now I don't have a shopping expense because it's pandemic.
So you're going to set up a GoFundMe page for your shoes, right?
Yeah, I wanted to. I was like, oh, I think majority of my salary goes to my monthly amortizations for the properties that I have bought in. I was like, oh, I only have few pounds left for myself, for my shopping and stuff. And then I realized I don't need to go shopping because it's still pandemic, so nobody can see me.
And you're not going out to events, so you're saving money. Anyway, guys, thank you ever so much to both of you. Maraming salamat from the bottom of my heart. I'm so grateful. Thank you very much to all of my followers, to everybody on Facebook, to social media, for all of you guys, for helping me on this journey. And we're going to be back again next Sunday. And I'm very excited with our next guest, who's going to also give some very valuable advice to the Filipino community in the United Kingdom. Thanks so much again to Mega World. Thanks so much again to WorldRemit, to all of my dear friends. Maraming salamat to my technical team. Until we see each other next week. Maraming salamat po, mabuhay Pilipinas.